Lucifer, you pathetic neon brown-nosed cross-eyed pinhead, any word on the location of the Galactica? No word yet, Dantar. You will be banished to the spice mines of Kessel if I don't get results.
Cool echo, Dantar. I'm digging the scene.
Well, I'm not. Lucifer, get me some Farrah Fawcett posters for the walls and a ladder so I can get the hell off this thing. Last time we had a fire drill, I fell on my you-know-what, and I still have the bruise. By your command. And where is the B9 robot?
Not a clue. When my limo docked, I didn't see his Pinto in the docking bay. He may be drinking again in the Deutronium bar.
All reports still negative on the location of Galactica, Dantar. I want the Galactica found.
Coincidentally, that's the topic of today's video. Whatever happened to the Galactica ship model?
Our long-range scans have detected a vessel of unknown origin heading this way at multi-warp speeds. Must be Adama and Hoss in the Galactica on his way here to surrender? Excellent.
It's not the Galactica. Space vehicle is saucer-shaped.
A saucer? Put it on screen. Robot Model B9 approaching rapidly.
What is all this Felga cob?
Lucifer, my eye. You can't hide from me, Dr. Smith. Oh dear, that Neanderthal ninny has found me out. Oh, the pain, the pain.
There are those who believe that voiceover work here began out there.
It's true. Jonathan Harris played Dr. Smith and supplied the voice for Lucifer.
Just wait till I get my claws on you, Dr. Smith. Landing lights activated.
Saucer on collision course.
Holy frack!
Well, turn, you idiot, turn! He's headed straight for us! You bubble-headed booby, you've spoiled everything as usual. This ain't Pismo Beach. Stay tuned, folks. Movies.
Music and monsters.
Danger.
Hey, my friends, Dan Monroe here from Movies, Music, and Monsters, and boy, oh boy, what a super cool show we've got for you today. The history and fate of everyone's favorite late 1970s Battlestar, the Galactica. And the Atlantia.
And the Pegasus.
And the Enterprise.
Really?
He gets confused. Same model, different lettering on the side. I absolutely loved this show when it first came out in 1978, obviously because I was already a super huge fan of Star Wars, and since the only place that you could see Star Wars at the time was back in the theaters, me, along with just about everybody I knew that was my age, just really thought that this small mini version of Star Wars was just so super cool, which actually it wasn't, but we'll get to that. It's not cool. Yes, it's cool, and no, it's not just a mini version of Star Wars, but today we're going to get right to it. So, grab your Daggett, your Colonial Viper, and your favorite Cylon Centurion with a bucket of stale popcorn, and let's dive in. Why would you say that this was not simply a cheaper knockoff of Star Wars? Glenn Larson was no fool. Well, that's just my opinion. It's a bit complicated since this came out on television just 1 year after Star Wars hit the theaters. That was the general consensus. A cheap Star Wars knockoff, but maybe than the hairstyles on the lead characters, it had a completely different feel with a completely different story and a completely different vibe overall. Yes, the special effects were very similar, but that was simply because the effects for Battlestar were done by a company called Apogee Incorporated, which was headed by John Dykstra, the guy who created the Dykstra Flex camera rig for filming the models on Star Wars. So obviously there's going to be somewhat of a similar look, and this is really really super interesting. After Star Wars was done, a lot of the special effects guys just figured that they were unemployed, out of work, so they formed this company, Apogee, literally in the same building as what was then a very early ILM, and in this really cool photo you can see Star Wars models right next to models being made for Battlestar Galactica.
Apogee and John Dykstra did a lot of great special effects work, including many effects on Star Trek the Motion Picture, as well as the Clint Eastwood techno-thriller Firefox.
Good to know. But can we get on with it? My mother, the car is on after this.
And here we go. Yes, my friends, the original Battlestar Galactica filming model does still exist and has been gorgeously restored to its original cinematic glory. Not that I would necessarily, I guess, call this a miniature. I mean, it was 6 feet long and has a really unique and interesting history from the point that the show ended after only one brief season all the way up until today. So now that I've spilled the beans about this gorgeous piece of sci-fi and movie and television history, let's go back, way back to find out the incredible history of this legendary Battlestar model. You know, tracking down these lost iconic Hollywood relics is a lot of fun, but it can certainly be frustrating at times. But one thing that should absolutely never ever be frustrating is finding trustworthy and compassionate healthcare providers, and with today's sponsor ZocDoc, you can easily find and book a doctor that listens, understands, and supports you. One thing that personally drives me crazy is feeling like just a number, sitting in the little room while the doctor types furiously, not looking at you, not really seeming like he's even paying attention. But with ZocDoc, it's different. I personally found the booking process fast and easy. I immediately feel that they're interested in finding a solution to my problems with me, and I even got a post-visit follow-up. Super cool. ZocDoc is a completely free website that helps you find and book high-quality in-network doctors so you can find someone you absolutely love. With more than 150,000 providers across all 50 states, dermatology, eye care, primary care, dentistry, more than 200 specialties offered, and you can view thousands of verified patient reviews to find the doctor that's just right for you. And when you're ready, appointments happen fast, usually within just 24 to 72 hours. It's a brand new year, so take the time to be kind to yourself and stop stressing about doctor's appointments. Again, using ZocDoc is absolutely free. Simply visit ZocDoc.com/Dan Monroe to find and instantly book an appointment with a top-rated in-network doctor today. Links in the description, and thanks to ZocDoc for sponsoring this video. And now, back to the Galactica. As I mentioned before, this model was built by John Dykstra's company, Apogee, and surprisingly, unlike most film and television props, there was only one made, measuring 72 inches by 32 inches by 10 inches. The skeleton of the model is based on a steel armature, 2.5-inch exhaust pipe to be exact, with wooden frames and sheets of plexiglass and styrene wrapped around the exterior to create the overall skin of the ship. There's a 6-point armature inside, which would allow the people filming the model to have the ship mounted from all different angles, depending on which angle they happen to be shooting the Galactica at for any particular scene. The surface of the ship is extremely detailed, with thousands and thousands of carefully scribed panel lines and parts from hundreds hundreds of different model kits known in the industry as kit bashing. Hundreds of carefully placed fiber optic strands provide the tiny lights that you would see on the surface of the ship, with not one but two box fans that were housed in the engine manifold to cool the extremely hot halogen bulbs that were used for the rear engines, along with a custom cooling system that was built right into the nose of the ship. All of this in a model that was 6 feet long and weighing upwards of 70 frickin' pounds. Now, the principal designs for the Battlestar, well, all the ships in the show really, were conceived by legendary production illustrator Ralph McQuarrie, who, just like in Star Wars, created the initial paintings of the ships that the builders would then take inspiration from, and who, more than anyone else, is credited with developing not only the look and the feel of the ships, but the entire Battlestar Galactica world in general, not to mention playing a very important role in actually getting this show sold to the networks. And yes, I know there were all kinds of legal battles and disputes between George Lucas and John Dykstra, with Lucas suing the Galactica people for copyright infringement, which was eventually settled out of court, by the way. I did cover all that about a year ago in a video solely dedicated to the Galactica TV series, so check that out. But this is interesting. During the production of Star Wars, while filming the X-Wing models that were approaching the Death Star, George Lucas wanted those ships to cross in front of the camera and then head towards the Death Star, but all in one continuous shot, which for whatever reason they just couldn't do at that time, so they ended up doing it in 2 separate shots with a shot in between. But just 1 year later, when Dykstra was working on Galactica, he was able to do that exact type of shot with the Galactica crossing in front of the camera and flying away, which apparently really rubbed George Lucas the wrong way. True, but he finally put a digital version of that shot in the Star Wars Special Edition. Ugh, let us not speak of such things. Lucas shot first. I don't know. What do you think, Robbie? Robbie!
I'm up. So, what happened to the ship after the show already?
Yeah, come on, man. Put the metal to the pedal. Well, when the television series ended after its very short 1-year run of only 21 episodes and the movie split in 2 parts, the Galactica was placed in storage and was surprisingly not in the greatest shape at that time in history, that's for sure, until it was fixed up by a gentleman named Mark Bradley, moved from Los Angeles to Florida, and put on display around the late 1980s, early 1990s, I'd say, at Universal Studios. After its time on display at Universal, it was then re-crated, placed back in storage, still in Florida, and eventually rescued by Gary Canavo, a well-known and highly respected collector throughout the Hollywood memorabilia community, a man dedicated to acquiring and preserving these classic models from our favorite movies and TV shows, who actually, get this, found the Galactica in Orlando in a warehouse near the airport, and then made a deal to both purchase and acquire the famous prop, then hiring a gentleman named Ed Marecki to do a more complete restoration. Fun Battlestar fact, an interesting story that Gary told me on the phone was that he actually also found the original base star filming model on eBay, of all places, and paid like $12,000 for it at the time, even though it was in extremely rough condition, but again, now totally restored and gorgeous looking. But that, my friends, is the topic of another video.
Fun fact, The base star filming model was actually handled on screen in the episode The Hand of God, the final episode in the series.
Well, thank you for that, Robbie.
Cheers. Back to my nap.
You can see here in these gorgeous photos taken by Chris Pappas, the ship really looked pretty darn good, even though there were some things that were done during the initial restoration that weren't quite 100% accurate, but still, there it was for the first time in private hands since production wrapped on the show, then being restored once again by Gary, with over 80% of the fiber optics being repaired and brought back to life, being photographed by professional model builder James Small in April of 2008, and holy Jiminy Christmas, my friends, just look at this fully restored beauty, the one and only original screen-used Battlestar Galactica filming model prop. Such an amazing journey of this incredible, iconic piece of Hollywood history, which did eventually sell on June 28th of 2017 at a Profiles in History auction. Wow, I can only imagine what this thing went for.
I'm sure it sold for more than you did.
Well, Gary was an avid collector and not only had the Galactica, but also a ton of other ships from the Battlestar Galactica show, as well as many of the key models used in Buck Rogers in the 25th century, all selling in one gigantic lot for over $1.8 million. I mean, come on, guys. How cool is that? And speaking of James Small, the guy who photographed the ship, this guy is one of the absolute best model builders in the industry, so if you would like a model of any subject built for you, check him out. Links in the description.
Not that I care, but where is all this stuff today?
Let's just say it's in the hands of a private collector. That explains why the family nest egg is missing from your bank account.
And why your wife is working 3 jobs.
I really hope you guys enjoyed that deep dive all about the original Galactica filming model, and if you did and you like this kind of stuff, please consider subscribing to the channel. I've got a whole bunch of new videos coming up really soon that I know you guys are just gonna dig. And if you'd like to help support the channel, you can always buy us a coffee, link in the description. And please feel free to stop back anytime as we together continue the conversation on movies, music, and monsters. Movies,
music, and monsters.